Hello, and welcome to my presentation on the ethics of torture in counterterrorism intelligence gathering. Before we examine the debate on torture, it is important to clearly define what we mean. Torture refers to deliberately causing severe physical or mental pain to obtain information of forced compliance. The U.S. has historically used the term enhanced interrogation techniques to describe actions like waterboarding and sleep deprivation, but internationally, these are recognized as torture. Counterterrorism covers the strategies and policies used to stop terrorist activity. A key question we'll address throughout this presentation is whether the threat of terrorism justifies abandoning our legal and moral standards. International and U.S. laws are absolutely clear. Torture is prohibited under all circumstances. The Geneva Conventions and the UN Convention Against Torture explicitly ban any cruel or degrading treatment without exception. The United States also criminalizes torture through federal law. So, from a legal perspective, the debate isn't whether torture is allowed. It's not. The real question becomes why these rules were tested after 9/11 and what it tells us about the tension between fear and principle. One of the main arguments used to justify torture is the ticking time bomb scenario. In this hypothetical situation, a captured terrorist supposedly has information that could stop an imminent attack, and torture is portrayed as the only way to get that intel fast enough to save lives. Supporters argue that harming one person is justified if it protects thousands, but this scenario is largely fictional. Real-life intelligence rarely works this cleanly, and evidence shows that emergencies like this almost never occur. Even if torture were morally questionable, some argue it works, but the data says otherwise. Research and real-world investigations, especially the 2014 Senate Intelligence Committee report, show that torture often produces false or misleading information. Under intense pain, people will say anything to make it stop, which wastes time and resources. Torture also fuels terrorist recruitment by giving groups powerful propaganda. Experienced interrogators overwhelmingly agree that building rapport leads to better, more accurate intelligence than coercion ever could. Beyond legality and effectiveness, there are moral issues to consider. Torture violates basic human dignity, which many ethical frameworks argue is unacceptable under any circumstances. Once a country allows torture even once, the boundaries start to expand, leading to abuse of people who may not even be real threats. And when a nation uses the same methods it condemns in others, it loses moral credibility. In the long run, abandoning our values in the name of security puts our identity and democratic principles at risk. Torture doesn't only harm the person being interrogated, it also harms the people doing the interrogating. Many intelligence officers report long-term moral injury after participating in coercive practices they felt went against their ethics. Torture also weakens professional interrogation standards, replacing skilled questioning with blunt force tactics. On top of that, personal risk, legal consequences for participating, even if they were following orders. It also violates military codes, which undermines discipline and trust within the ranks. After 9/11, the U.S. created a classified detention and interrogation program run by the CIA. These operations took place in secret black sites around the world and at Guantanamo Bay. What started as a controlled set of enhanced interrogation techniques quickly expanded into widespread abuse, as seen in incidents like Abu Ghraib. These actions damaged the U.S.'s global reputation and strained relationships with allies. This case shows how quickly torture policies can spiral beyond their intended limits. The good news is that there are proven alternatives to torture that actually work better. The most effective method is rapport-based interrogation, where interrogators build trust and use strategic questioning. Other tools, like cultural expertise, psychological insight, and intelligence cross-checking, produce more accurate results. Modern counterterrorism relies on technology, data, and human intelligence, not fear and pain. These methods produce reliable information without compromising ethical standards. When we put all the evidence together, the conclusion is clear. Torture represents both a moral failure and a strategic failure. It undermines the principle that the United States claims to defend, and it does not produce reliable intelligence. The real choice is not between safety and values, it's between ineffective brutality and proven, principled strategies that keep us both safe and aligned with our core beliefs. Upholding human rights and rule of law strengthens national security far more than abandoning them. Thank you for listening to my presentation. These are the resources I used to complete my research. And this is my design statement.